Welcome to the Systems Engineering Final Project Walkthrough for the Johns Hopkins University Systems Engineering Program. My name is Christopher Olson, and I'm an instructor here at Johns Hopkins as well as a Final Project mentor. This set of tutorials will walk you through an example project. I'm going to show you what's required each step of the way in order to get you to develop a successful systems engineering project. A couple things that should be mentioned, I think, up front. First, this example project is by no means perfect. I'm certain that as I run through this project, you likely may have approached things differently than I have, and that's okay. As you've heard it said, systems engineering is an art as well as a science. There are usually multiple ways to solve the same problem, right? My second point is that this project should not be used as a strict boilerplate for your project. As a master in systems engineering, you'll have to demonstrate that you have the ability to approach and tackle a problem in your own unique way. Simply copying what I do throughout these tutorials will not be adequate enough for you to be able to demonstrate this. You must be able to come up with your own strategies and solutions to the problems you present for your own project, using the systems engineering process to guide you. That said, let's move forward and begin to work on the project. This agenda is rather short, but it will be broken down into smaller pieces as we progress. We'll begin with an overview of the project. Now, this tutorial will not serve as a substitute for your project guidelines provided on the Blackboard website. I will not be reviewing that verbatim in this series, so I highly recommend that you go into the Blackboard site and review the project guidelines yourself. In the Systems Engineering Overview, I will be introducing to you how to apply the systems engineering process through the life cycle for your own project. In particular, we'll be focusing on one stage in the life cycle, which is the system conceptual development stage. We will get more into detail with that a little later. In this project, you'll be performing three primary tasks in parallel with each other. The first task is to actually perform systems engineering throughout your entire project. Now, I'm not just talking about performing the systems engineering method itself, but you'll be recursively performing this method at least a few times throughout your project. The second task is to develop a systems architecture for your system. This will be accomplished through the application of the recurring systems engineering method, as well as the use of Vitek Core architecting tool. I will be developing a conceptual system architecture throughout this series using Core. The third primary task for this project is you will be creating project deliverables that will be reviewed by your mentor as well as your instructor. These document the application of the first two primary tasks for your project. The deliverables are composed of the project concept paper, the proposal, your requirements analysis report, your functional analysis report, concept design report, your A specification, your risk report, your formal trade study report, final project report, and a slide deck for your oral presentation at the end of the project. Details for the contents of these deliverables are found within the project guidelines. Please refer to this document when you develop them. Let's switch focus to a quick systems engineering overview again. Throughout this walkthrough, I'll be referring to the three primary sources for the tools and techniques that I use to develop my system. The first and most obvious source is the second edition of the Systems Engineering Principles and Practice book by Koziakoff, Sweet, Seymour, and Beamer. This is one of the greatest resources for systems engineering. It's built upon years of practical experience in the real world and is a very valuable resource. The second source is the second edition of the Engineering Design of Systems, Models and Methods, which is by Dennis M. Beatty. This was the textbook for your conceptual development course, which is the phase that this project will primarily revolve around. This textbook provides a bit more in-depth look at systems modeling, which is what we will be performing as we develop our system architectures and our deliverables. Dennis Beatty has provided many examples of modeling throughout this textbook using the same software architecting tool that we'll be using for this project. The third source, and one of my favorites, is the System Analysis, Design, and Development Concepts, Principles and Practice book by Charles Wasson. This textbook was probably only referred to you during your System Design and Integration course as an optional material. However, I'm glad that I got it. This book helped me tremendously throughout this project as it dives a bit deeper into the first two. As of the making of this video, the second edition of this book is being finalized, so we'll be using the first edition in conjunction with Wasson's supplementary white paper regarding phases, modes, and states. So let's begin the systems engineering overview by reviewing the product development lifecycle. This product lifecycle is shown on the front cover of your Systems Engineering Principles and Practice textbook. It's composed of 3 stages: the conceptual development, engineering development, and post-development stages. Each stage is then comprised of multiple phases. Within the conceptual development stage, there are the needs analysis phase, concept exploration phase, and the concept definition phase. Within the engineering development stage, there are advanced development phase, engineering design phase, and integration and evaluation phase. Within the post-development stage are production phase and operations and support phase. So let's change our focus specifically to the concept development stage and how the systems engineering process fits into that. Many final project students get confused about how to use the systems engineering process throughout their project. We perform it at least once for every phase in each stage of the product development lifecycle. So, for the concept development stage, we performed the systems engineering process at least 3 times, as you can see here, since there are 3 phases. The great thing about the Kozyakov textbook is the systems engineering process is tailored for each phase. For example, during needs analysis, the requirements analysis piece of the systems engineering process is called operations analysis, and the physical allocation piece of the systems engineering process is called feasibility definition. So as we progress through the development lifecycle, these names and actions performed within these steps will be tailored throughout. This wraps up the first video for the final project walkthrough. In the next video, I'll introduce you to the project that I will be developing in this video series. From there, we'll dive into the first phase in the conceptual development stage, which is needs analysis. We'll see you then.